Finnegans Wake by Joyce. Chapter 7, Section 183. The house of Shem, Kiva Pieno, known as the haunted ink bottle, no-number brimstone walk, Asian Ireland, as it was infested with the raps, with his pen name shut sepia scraped on the doorplate and a blind of black silk cloth over its wan foinshog, in which the soul-contracted son of the secret cell groped through life at the expense of the taxpayers, dejected into day and night with Jesuit bark and bitter bite, calico hydrants of zolfur, and scopia lamina by full and 40, quisianos every day in everyone's way, more exceeding in violent abuse of self and others, was the worst. It is hoped, even in our western playboyish world, for pure mouse farm filth. You brag of your brass castle or your tiled house in Ballyfermont? Nigs, and nigs again, for this was a stinksome Incan stink, quite puzzle to the rotal, smatter for fat. Angles afternoon browsing there, thought not Edom reeked more rare. My wood, the warped flooring of the lair and sound-conducting walls thereof, to say nothing of the uprights and imposts, were Persianly literatured with burst love letters, tell-tale stories, sticky-back snaps, doubtful eggshells, bouchers, flints, borers, puffers, amygdaloid almonds, rindless raisins, alphabeti-formed verbiage, biblical viases, pictor dictas, visos umbig ahams ahas, ineffable, tries at speech, unasyllabled. You owe me's, I old hymns, fluflausmat fallen Lucifer's vestas, which had served showered ornaments, borrowed brogues, reversible jackets, black-eye lenses, family jar, false hair shirts, god-forsaken scapulars, never-worn breeches, cutthroat ties, counterfeit francs, best intentions, curried notes, upset Latin tin tacks, unused mill and stumbling stones, twisted quills, painful digests, magnifying wine glasses, solid objects cast at goblins once, current puns, quashed potatoes, messes of motage, unquestionable issue papers, seedy ejaculations, limerick dams, crocodile tears, spilt ink, blasphematory spit, stale chestnuts, schoolgirls, young ladies, milkmaids, washerwomen's, shopkeepers' wives, merry widows, ex-nuns, vice-abbesses, pro-virgins, super-horses, silent sisters, Charlie's aunts, grandmothers, mother-in-laws, foster mothers, godmothers, garters, tress, clippings from right, lift and syndrome, worms of snot, toothsome pickings, cans of Swiss condensed milk, highbrow lotions, kisses from the Antipodes, presents from pickpockets, borrowed plumes, relaxable hand grips, princess promises, lees of wine, deoxidized carbons, convertible collars, deviliocre doffers, broken wafers, unloosed shoe latchets, crooked straight waistcoats, fresh horrors from Hades, globules of mercury, undeleted gleet, glass eyes for an eye, gloss teeth for a tooth, hormones, special size, long sufferings of long standing, ahs, ohs, we's, sees, yas, yos, gias, nays, thaws, so's, yeses and yeses and yeses, to which, if one has the stomach to add, the breakages, upheavals, distortions, inversions of all this chambermaid music, one stands, given a grain of goodwill, a fair chance of actually seeing the whirling dervish tumult, son of thunder, self-exiled in upon his ego, a night long a shaking betwixt tween white or redder horrors. Noonday terrorized to skin and bone by an ineluctable phantom. May the Shaper have mercy on him, writing the mystery of himself in furniture. Of course, our low hero was a self-valeter by choice of need. So he got up, whatever is meant by a Stourbridge, clay, kitchenette, and Lithergo Galanu fowl house. For the sake of aches, the umble does not fall very far from the dumper tree, which the moral melodious jigsmith, in defiance of the uncontrollable birth, preservation, game and poultry act, playing Lallery Rook cookery nook by the dodginess of his lantern brewed and cocked and potched in an Athanor whites and yolks and yilks and hoats to the fruling fredonance of Mas Blanca que la Blanca Hermana and Amarilla muy bien with cinnamon and locusts and wild beeswax and licorice and carrageen mousse and blaster of berries and Astor's mess and Huster's mixture and yellow man's embrocation and pinky stone's patty and stardust and sinner's tears, accudent. To Sheridan's art of panning, chanting for all regale to the like of the lakes he left behind, with Letty Fan Levin, his cantraps of fermented words, abracadabra, calubra, culurum, his woofs a la Madame Gabrielle de la Inglise, his avj a la Mistress B de B, Meinfeld, his airs, usqua da mala, a la pomme de ciel, his oves, his oves, his uves, a la sulfate de sud, his ocurie sauté saumonone a la Monseigneur, his so flotion of oogs, with some catantoyest a la mer poide, his pogadovis a la fenella, his friedegs a la tricarem, in which was meant for a closet. Aho! If only he had listened better to the four masters that infanted him, Father Matthew and Le Père Noble and Pastor Lucas and Padre Aguilar, not forgetting lay teacher Baldwin. Aho! His costive Satan's antimonium manganese, limo litmius nature, never needed such an alcove. So, when Robber and Mumsell, the pulpit dictators, on the nudgment of their legal advisers, Messieurs Codex and Podex, under his own benefiction of their pastor, Father Flemius Falconer, boycotted him of all mutton-suet candles and Rome-ruled stationery for any purpose, he winged away on a wild goose chase across the cathartic ocean and made synthetic ink and sensitive paper for his own end out of his wit's waste. You ask in Sam Hill how? Let manner and matter of this for these sporting times be cloaked up in the language of blush-fed porporates, that an Anglican ordinal, not reading his own rude Dunsky Tonga, may ever befold the brand of scarlet on the brow of her of Babylon, and feel not the pink one in his own damned cheek, prime in opifex altus proseter ad terram viviparam et cunctic potentum sine ulo podere nec venia suscepto pluviale arce distinctes perisomates natives nudes uti nati fuisam sese ad propiquans flens e gemens in manum suam evacuavit, highly prosy, crap in his hand, sorry, posti animale nigro exoneratus, classicam pulses tercos propiam quad appellavit dejectio suas in vas olim honorable tristite possuet, idem sub invocatione fratorum geminorum medardi e godardi late ac melleflue minset salmon qui insepet lingua mea callumus scribae velusiter, scribentes magna voce, cantitans did episses he was dejected as to be exonerated, demon ex decorum, turpe condivi orionis, ium cundidate mixto cocto, frigorice exposito, encaustum sibi fecit indelibile, faked Orion's the indelible ink, then pious Aeneas conforming to the fulminant firman, which enjoins on the tremulous Therian, that when the cold comes, he shall produce nictermerically from his unheavenly body a no uncertain quantity of obscene matter, not protected by copyright in the united stars of Urania, or be deed and be dood and be dang and be dung to him, with his double die, brought to blood heat gallic acid on iron ore, through the bowels of his misery, flashly, faithfully, nastily, appropriately, this Eswen Meshevik, and the first to last alchemist wrote over every square inch of the only foolscap available, his own body, till by its corrosive sublimation one continuous present, tense integument, slowly unfolded, all merry voicing, mood-molded, cycle-wheeling history. Thereby, he said, reflecting from his own individual person, life unlivable, trans-accidentated through the slow fires of consciousness into a individual chaos, perilous, potent, common to all flesh, human only mortal, but with each word that would not pass away, the squid self which he had screened from the crystalline world waned chagrin-old and Dorian Greer in its dudhud. This exists, that is its, after having been said, we know. And double take double. And dull double, dull abanubble. So, perhaps, aglaglaglo, muratively, assa spanking, after all, an archlist on his last public misappearance, circling the square for the death feet of Saint Ignatius, poison ivy, of the fickle crowd, up on the 6th day of hog sober Killimar King Leam low, and brandishing his bell-bearing stylo, the shining keyman of the wilds of change, if what is sauce for the Zassi is sauce for the Zassimus, the blonde cop who thought it was zinc was out of his depth, but bright in the main, petty constable Sisterton, of the Crues Kroon Kral, it was the parochial watch. Big the dog, the dig, the bog, the bagger, the dugger, the Begadag Degabag, who had been detailed from Pollute Stotis to save him. This, the quem, that the cum, from the ligature liabilis, effects of foul clay, in little clots and mob moulding on looks, the wrong countered the tender foot and eveling near, the living's mean unium getherum, Nakamari comti mea, reeling more to the right than he lurched to the left, on his way from a proto-prostitute. He would always have a stop, little pigeoness some whore with his arch-girl, Arcor Iris, smock name of Murgit, just as he was budding and ran the corner of bad times under a hideful between the rival doors of warm Bethels of worship, through his bordel house fongster, greeting for gratias horas as usual, where ladies have they that a dog means sort herring. Sir go, search me. The incapable reparteed with the self-evident subtlety, so obviously spurious, and raising his hair after the grace with the Christmas and under his clutch arm, for Potsy Master and Pertsy Missus and Pertsy Miss and Partsy Masters, like a prance of Finnegans with a shield to shout to Slipney Stripney in he skittled swikey. The all-white poor's guardian palpably of baltostic stomach was literally astonished over the painful sight. How he burst self, which he was gone to, were he intent to do he, whether you think will were end. The whole current of the afternoon was the south of a search hads of hits of hymns, urged and staggered thereto in his country ports, at the Caledosian capacity, for Lituvisky of the Kafkan's wineskin, and even more so during, looking for his big most astonishments, it was said him, asked to fund the concerned outgift of the dead med dirt. How that Araby gibbers, conspuent to the Dominical order and ex-king noblish permish, he was namely coon at bringer at home 2 gallons as per royal full poultry, till his murder, nip up and nab it. Polstergeistig coats donder her hoploits, kick what mother? Whose porter which pair, why namely coon? But our undiligence has been pluthoro tested so enough of such porter black, lonius, too base for printing, perpending the Puterico Purcell pulls the cold stone out of winter waters, and Silder seas sings for her our king. Sept oct nov des John Phipps March, we cannot in mercy or justice, nor on the lovum for the labyrinthos, stay here for the residence of our existings, discussing Tamstar ham of Thurman's thirst, Justius to high mother, Brawn is my name, and broad is my nature, and I've breet on my brow, and all's right with every feature, and I'll broon this bird or brown Bess's bungs gone bandy. I'm the boy to bruise and braise bouse. Stand forth, Naaman of Noland, for no longer will I follow you oblique-like through the inspired form of the third-person singular, and the moods and hesitancies of the deponent, but address myself to you, with imperative of my vendicative, provocative, and out-direct. Stand forth, come boldly, jolly me, move me zwingling. Through I am to laughter, in your true colours ere you be back, forever, till I give you your talking to, Shem McAdamson. You know me, and I know you, and all your shemeries. Where have you been in the utterum, enjoying yourself all morning since your last wed-bed confession? I advise you to conceal yourself, my little friend, as I have said a moment ago, and put your hands in my hands, and have a night's long, homely little confiteor about things. Let me see. It is looking pretty black against you. We suggest Shimivik. You will need all the elements in the river to clean you over it all, and a fortifying Pope's priest power bull of attender to boot.